if AI is going to work, it has to be cross-functional, cross-departmental. You're not just going to be like, oh, well, we've got this team here and they just do AI. Well, for what? I mean, because we know you need to AIify your marketing, and you need to AIify your sales. You need to AIify your, services and your operations, and you need to AIify your accounting and your finance.
Hey everybody, this is the episode of Business Lunch that you have been waiting for, where we're going to talk about AI stuff. And in particular, we're going to talk about some really cool AI stuff and some new trends that are happening with people. I am your host, Roland Frazier, and your co-host is Ryan Dice. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. So we're talking AI stuff. That's the plan.
AI stuff. Yes, I know. I told you we were going to talk about the other thing, but we're going to talk about AI stuff.
You changed your mind. Changed the mind mid-intro.
No, it came into my head that way. Yeah. So now we're committed. We've come too far. We're going to talk about that. So I sent you an article that talked about a new position that is the subject of a lot of debate. And I think that it would be fun for us to talk about, do we think this is a position that needs to be there? Is it something people should focus on? And if so, what do we think of it? And this is I think it's the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer, or a Director of AI. So we all know that AI is revolutionizing things. It's only been around a short time, yet it's had this outsized impact. You and I have multiple businesses that are helping people with that. We've incorporated it into all of our businesses, or it's on schedule to be incorporated. What do you think about the position of, similar to a chief revenue officer or chief information officer, a chief artificial intelligence officer?
So I'm normally very suspect of new-fangled C-level roles, right? Like, I mean, there's the classics of a chief marketing officer, chief revenue officer, chief financial officer. There's certain ones that have just been there forever because it's just business. And then every now and then you'll have new ones that will emerge, that some of them, seem to be done more for like kind of political, PR type reasons, and others are more because of a timeliness type deal. So when I think about like the chief, information officer, the CIO, that's a role that, largely was responsible for digital transformation. It existed. It was really, really big in a lot of companies. And now you're seeing it less and less. A lot of it's been absorbed into the chief technology officer type role. And even that role has oftentimes been kind of distributed. You don't really have a CTO. What you have is technology people who are down at the functional business level. So I'm normally very suspect of these things. This is one, though, where I think I'm buying it, at least in the short term. Like, so I don't know that this role, the chief, AI officer, I don't know that it's a role that will necessarily be here 10 years from now, because I do believe that AI is going to be permeated within everything. Yeah. But I think it is so important that to give this role, even if it is just a 5 to 10 year C-level role, to give it that C-level priority, I think it makes sense. I think it can send a message. But again, I don't think it's a role that's going to be around, necessarily a decade from now, because like so many of these other things, it's just going to be embedded into all of them. So that's kind of what I think about it today. I'm not certain that businesses should be hiring for these internally unless they're big. I think you could probably get a fractional, person to come in and help you do the implementation, teach your people, and then be gone. But I would have it before I wouldn't. Certainly, It's better than just burying your head in the sand and saying this AI stuff doesn't matter to me. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that what you said at the end there is really insightful. I think that I would have it rather than not have it, because I think that there are going to be a lot of businesses that disappear because they get swallowed up by people who embrace AI and implement fast. And it will be really hard to come back from the lead that those companies get. I think about adding, I like the way that you approached it too, because it's the same way I do, is I like thinking about who should I add to the C-suite, because really the C-suite people other than the CEO should all report to the CEO. So I think about, is this a direct report kind of position? And I think the answer is maybe. With you too, it's like, I don't see that a chief AI officer as a direct report to the CEO really is probably appropriate long term. I think that a chief AI consultant that the company brings in, who briefs the C-suite, including the CEO, would be important. I'm not sure that I would have that person report to the CEO. I think it's probably a COO report. If you have a small to medium-sized company, I think that you definitely want to do this with consultant versus or someone who's coming in that's really dedicated to the company. Because the other challenge is that I think with our AI-powered entrepreneur program, in putting that together, I feel like we learned that it's a massive undertaking to transform a company across all the 12 major departments you would want to do for AI to be fully integrated into the company. And if somebody's going to do that, it's going to require them to have the power to work within multiple departments. So putting them in a C position where they would have the ability to do that makes sense. But at the same time, they don't really have any reports that are in those other divisions. So they shouldn't go outside the chain of command to do that, which means that really you need them as more of a support function like legal or finance, where they are saying, hey, we've sat and AI-ified our brains here, and this is what we feel is appropriate. They sell it to the other C-suite heads, and then the implementation and integration is coordinated together, so it goes chain of command to the people that need to do it. But I really see that I don't know that that person should be reporting to and bugging the CEO, who's got other jobs and things to consider. I feel like they could easily be briefed by somebody else. So I think I'm going to argue no for the position at that level as a direct report to CEO. I think having a director of AI, a vice president of AI, until it does become ubiquitously integrated into all of the different programs, because it's definitely not right now. There is absolutely a function of how do we AI-ify stuff in our business, and somebody's got to be in charge of it. I think they're probably going to report to the COO and be a VP or a director or a head of, more than anything else. And I definitely think it's better to have it than not have it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you. I could easily see this being the most hated person on the C-level team.
And right? Why?
Because,
I think I know, but why?
Because you're talking about somebody who, if AI is going to work, it has to be cross-functional, cross-departmental. You're not just going to be like, oh, well, we've got this team here and they just do AI. Well, yeah. For what? I mean, because we know you need to AI-ify your marketing, and you need to AI-ify your sales. You need to AI-ify your, services and your operations, and you need to AI-ify your accounting and your finance and your, like, what aren't you AI-ifying? And it reminds me of, like, the chief transformation officer was a thing for a while, right? And this person's job was to come in and head up digital transformation. And only everybody hated this person because they basically function like an internal outside consultant. But the reason that I think that this is really important for C-level people, one of the benefits of having a consultant is everybody's allowed to hate that person. And so as a CEO, you bring in a consultant because they tell you all of the things that internally it would be politically disadvantageous for somebody to say. But the consultant's basically like, hey, you brought me in to do a job, and my job is to tell you here are the things that are broken that you need to get fixed. And if you don't like me, that's fine, because it ain't like we're hanging out at the company picnic, right? I'm going to be going back over there. And I believe that this role, it is going to be inherently disruptive to what everybody's doing. And it's disruption that will be, have positive yields in the long term. But in the short term, it's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to be scary. You're going to have folks who've been leading departments and doing things a certain way. And now all of a sudden you're telling them not to do it that way, but to use this newfangled technology that, let's face it, we saw this with the internet, with digital transformation as a whole. We've seen this play out It's necessary. It's critical. The companies that do it will win. The companies that don't will fail. We know that. And yet still everybody hates it. And so, I struggle with it. And I'm excited about this stuff. But like integrating AI into my existing workflow, and I know how to do it, it's a struggle. And I want to do it, but it's a struggle. And now I've got somebody who's a peer telling me I need to change the way I do my job. I just think that creates, yeah, exactly. That has the potential to create so much friction and be so counterproductive at a C-level team, which needs to be a high trust organization. Yeah, in talking about, I've come all the way around. This should not exist as a C-level role. You heard it here first, folks. Bring this poor bastard in from the outside. Let him tell everybody that they're wrong. Let him get paid really well to be hated, but still get the job done. And I just don't think you could do that if you're on the C-level.